Welcome to Rambam In-Depth. Today we'll be discussing the Rambam Hilchot Avodat Kochavim, the beginning of chapter 6. The Rambam writes as follows: Tumas Avodah Zarah Medivrei Seifrim. The impurity that is associated with Avodah Zarah, with idol worship, is of rabbinic origin. It's not biblical. Now, in Halacha, there's Isur, things that are prohibited. Obviously, Avodah Zarah is prohibited. You're not allowed to benefit from it. And there's also an idea of tumah, of impurity. Like a sheretz, a dead rodent, is tamei. It's not just forbidden to eat, but it becomes tamei and it can make other things tamei as well. So Avodah Zarah is also tamei, but it's not biblical. It's only of rabbinic origin. And the Rambam continues, Yesh la remez b'Torah. There's a hint in the Torah to this. The hint is from Chumash Bereshis, where Yaakov Avinu admonishes his sons after they destroyed the city of Shechem. Hasiru aselahei hanecha asher b'seichem v'hitaharu v'hachlifosem leseichem. Remove the foreign gods that are in your midst, purify yourselves, and change your garments. So he's talking about the Avodah Zarah, and he's telling them to purify themselves. This is a clear hint that Avodah Zarah makes you impure, makes you tamei. Then the Rambam continues, V'arba aves hatumas yeshba. There were 4 different categories of tumah in Avodah Zarah. There's Avodah Zarah atzma, the idol itself, the object of the worship itself. Misham sheha, the accessories to the idol. V'takrei b'shalah, the offerings that were brought to the idol. And v'yayin shenisnasachla, and the wine that was poured, the wine libations to the idol. These are all tamei. And the Rambam then reiterates the tumas kula midivreya, and the impurity of all of these 4 categories: the idol, the accessories, the offerings, the libations. These are all of rabbinic origin. The Rebbe, cited in the Sefer Teres Menachem Yein Malchus and Sefer Tara Siman Yutes, taken from Likutei Sichos, raises some very strong questions. First of all, why would the Rambam bring a hint for this rabbinical law? It's not customary for the Rambam throughout his Sefer where he talks about rabbinical laws, and there are hints in the Torah, because rabbinical laws, even though they're rabbinical, everything is hinted in the Torah, and the Rambam's style is not to bring those hints, just to bring the halacha. So why over here does he find it necessary to bring a hint? But then the Rebbe makes the question a lot stronger. This hint is not found in the Mishneh, it's not found in the Gemara, it's not found in the early Midrashim, in the primary Midrashim, Medrash Rabbi, Medrash Tanchuma. It's found in later Midrashim. But why would the Rambam find a hint in an obscure medrash, when in the Mishnah and Gemara there are hints to other psukim? There's a hint that the Mishnah and Gemara compare to a sheretz, an abominable creature that you're not allowed to eat, that can become tamei. There are shmeina shratzim, 8 different shratzim. It's also compared to a nida, a menstruant woman who's ritually impure. And the Gemara, the Mishnah and Gemara bring those hints, and the Rambam himself, in a subsequent halacha, and the next halacha, brings these hints. And yet, he finds it necessary to introduce the whole idea of tumah avodah zarah with a pasuk, a hint that's not mentioned in most places, in most sources. And if the Rambam himself brings the hints of the Mishnah and Gemara, then why does he have to bring another hint from a pasuk in Bereshis? So the Rebbe answers as follows. This whole concept that avodah zarah is tamei can be explained in 2 ways. This is a gzeira. This is a rabbinical decree that said that that an idol is tamei. Did they impose this status of impurity on the chefza, on the object of that which is worshipped? And the Torah prohibited benefiting from the idol. So the sages went to the next step. They said, just like the Torah said that the idol is a chefza, is an object of prohibition. It's not just something on the person. You're not allowed to eat something that's not kosher. The object that's not kosher is an object that is prohibited, and that imposes a prohibition on the person because the object is reprehensible, spiritually speaking. So if that's the case, the Rabbi said, let's take this a step further. Not only is it forbidden to eat or benefit from, we're imposing a status of tumah on the object of idolatry. That's one approach. The other approach is that tumah is not connected to the prohibition. It's 2 separate categories. It's only on the gavra, while the prohibition of Avodah Zarah is on the person. You're not allowed to worship Avodah Zarah. You're not allowed to eat non-kosher. So that when the Torah speaks about Avodah Zarah, it is not the same as other prohibitions, because other prohibitions, besides the prohibition on the gavram, the person, the actual piece of food or the idol itself is intrinsically forbidden for you to have any benefit from. That's when you're talking about the prohibition. But the tumah has nothing to do with the prohibition. It's not an extension of the prohibition. It is an imposition on the person. The Torah says the person should distance himself from Avodah Zarah to such an extent that he would consider it to be tamei. He would suffer the same consequences as if it was something that was really tamei, as if it was intrinsically tamei. Though it's not intrinsically tamei, it's intrinsically asur. But you have to behave as if it was intrinsically tamei to distance yourself from the tumah. And this is what the Rambam is trying to tell us by bringing this hint. When he brings this hint from the pasuk Hasiru as Elahei HaNechar, what is the Rambam trying to tell you? That it's not, contrary to what we might think, that the tumah is on the chefza, like the sheretz or the nida, where they are themselves intrinsically in the status of tumah. It says here it's different. Here it's hasiru, just remove it. Keep away from the Avodah Zarah from you, so that you don't come to, God forbid, having any way of worshipping the Avodah Zarah, having any connection to the Avodah Zarah. So this is what the Rambam's whole chiddush is, to tell you that it's not on the chefza, but it's on the gavra. And the Rebbe explains in two ways why Avodah Zarah is different. Even though it's compared to sheretz, it's compared to nida, yet we're saying it's not really intrinsically tamei. It's only on the gavra, only on the person. Why is it different from isur? The isur is on the cheptzah, is on the object. Why is the tumah not on the object but on the person? So the Rebbe explains as follows, that the prohibition of Avodah Zarah is different from other types of prohibition. All prohibited things have substance. They're real. A sheretz, a piece of nevela, is a real thing that the Torah says is prohibited. But Avodah Zarah, you can't say it's a real thing, even though the thing that they worship is real. But the fact that this becomes Avodah Zarah is only in the imagination of the worshiper. Nothing is really changed. That the Avodah Zarah has no substance. You can't say that when you worship a piece of rock, that rock has a certain status, that it's now transformed into something different. No, it's not transformed into something different. There's no such thing as a Avodah Zarah. It's all a fiction. It's all false. As it says in the pasuk, sheker, hevel, it's false, it's hevel, it's vanity, it's emptiness, it's vacuous. It has no substance. It's just a piece of wood, a piece of stone. Other prohibitions, the prohibition, it's not just the thing that is prohibited, but it has status. Like chametz and Pesach, like nevela or treifa. It's a forbidden mitzias, it's a forbidden entity. That's why Avodah Zarah has a special status that you're not allowed to do anything that gives it any substance. So the tumah doesn't devolve on the idol itself, or on the accessories of the idol, and so on, but it devolves on the person. You have to treat the idol as if it was something that had substance. That means you have to distance yourself from it. But you cannot claim that the idol itself has some reality to it, has some substance to it. That's one of the explanations the Rebbe gives why the Rambam has to add this pasuk hasiru, remove the foreign gods, to show that it's on the person. You have to remove it from yourselves, but the foreign gods themselves have no substance.